I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time out of your schedules to join today's webinar. My name is Nadav Gordon, and I'm responsible for strategic accounts here at HeadSpin. I'm joined by my colleague, Jamie Moore, one of our senior sales engineers. And today we'll be talking about how your organization can use the HeadSpin platform while leveraging advanced investigative techniques for KPI capture and analysis. And here's a look at the topics that we'll be covering today as part of the agenda. I'll spend a few minutes giving you a quick overview of HeadSpin as a company and platform, and then I'll turn it over to Jamie, who will walk you through the advanced KPI investigative techniques, followed by a Q&A session. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to submit them by clicking on the Q&A button in the bottom control panel of the Zoom application, and then we'll answer them after Jamie concludes his portion of the presentation and demo. I'm now going to turn off my camera to conserve some bandwidth and ensure that you can see the presentation and hear the audio clearly. And let's get started. So who is HeadSpin and what do we offer? So HeadSpin is a 7-year-old company based in Sunnyvale, California. And we were founded on the premise of helping our customers execute synthetic testing on real-world digital experiences. So as you may be aware, speed, ease of use, and ensuring the experience is consistent are critically important to the success of every enterprise. And that's where HeadSpin Platform really comes into play. So we recognize that delivering a great digital experience is an act of deep collaboration between the likes of product management, development, testing, and site reliability engineering teams. And our platform helps to drive that collaboration. And we're backed by the likes of Google Ventures and other notable firms. And in addition to Google also being one of our top customers, we've been blessed to be able to partner with some amazing brands that you can see here, whose digital experiences are undeniably tied to business results. And we service customers across industry verticals, and some of these customers are being served across multiple geographies with hundreds of real devices under test. So our platform allows organizations to get a clear end-to-end view of the digital experiences that they offer. And the way we're able to do this is by using real devices and quality of experience analytics for web, audio, video, mobile in general, and other connected experiences like Internet of Things and even infotainment dashboards in cars, among many other form factors. And our platform can be broken down into the 4 pillars that you see here. So the first is our global device infrastructure, through which you'll be able to access hundreds of real devices to test and monitor your customer experiences end-to-end on actual carrier and Wi-Fi networks. And we currently have a presence in over 50 countries and 100 different locations globally. The second pillar is where you have test automation and support for essentially all testing frameworks. We have native integrations with the likes of Appium and Selenium, and that allows for seamless integration into your CI/CD workflows and enabling functional and performance testing for both pre as well as post-release. And our open APIs give you the ability to export data and insights to any BI and data visualization platforms, as well as monitoring dashboards. The third pillar is where you'll find performance and quality of experience measurement. So our platform allows you to identify bottlenecks and issues by surfacing the underlying root causes from virtually all layers of your technology stack. So whether it be audio or video quality of experience to the code and even packet visibility, our platform gives you the ability to measure KPIs that you care about, whether they're extensive app, device, network, and even critical user journeys and screen transitions. We currently have 140 KPIs that come out of box on the platform. And additionally, we can customize other KPIs that your organization wants to measure if they choose to do so. And then finally, on the right, we have insights to actions. So this is where HeadSpin really separates itself from being, from other device farms where you typically only get a pass or a fail grade on your tests. We are able to deliver deep regression and aggregation insights throughout the digital lifecycle. So over time, you can build your regression intelligence using real analysis and metadata from the sessions that you run on the devices that you choose to run them on. And the final piece is how we deploy on the next slide. So I mentioned earlier that we have infrastructure in 50 different countries and 100 different locations, and we offer several different models, whether it's on-premise, cloud, which can either be single or multi-tenant, hybrid options, or create your own lab capability. So I'll quickly walk through these. If you're looking for an on-premise deployment and you wanted to host your own devices internally, we have appliances that you can see here on the left-hand side called the P box and the AV box. And in a P box, you can host up to 24 devices. And these are typically, these appliances can be hosted in our data centers or on site, on premise in yours. The AV box was specifically built for rich audio and media use cases, and it's isolated from sound and light and is the only apparatus of its kind available in the market today. Cloud deployment is our most popular option. And in this model, you would leverage HeadSpin infrastructure by picking a data center in any one of our 100 locations globally and simply deploying the devices of your choosing. The hybrid model is where you essentially get a best of both worlds, where you can leverage a mixture of HeadSpin infrastructure as well as your own. And we actually have the ability to deploy a P box in a country where we don't currently have a data center if you choose to do so through one of our partners. And lastly, we offer the create your own lab capability, where you can essentially just plug devices into your laptop and run tests remotely while leveraging the HeadSpin remote control. So that concludes the high-level overview of our platform. I'll now turn it over to Jamie to walk through, the back half of the presentation around KPI capture and analysis. Jamie, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Nadav. And again, echo your sentiments on welcoming everyone to this webinar. Thank you for taking the time to join us. And let's talk about some of the KPI advanced investigative techniques or custom KPIs and what that really means. So this is actually part 2 of a series. We did a webinar last September where we talked about the KPIs that we capture. You can see down here that we capture right out of the box on a session. Today, we're going to talk more about the custom KPIs that you can create to augment that and really get into some specific customized queries on your different sessions. But just to kind of highlight what Nadav said, we have the global infrastructure where you can have devices all over the world so that you can get real world experience in those locations to track different kinds of issues that you might find, network, audio, connectivity, etc. And leveraging the P box for our data centers. So that's kind of the groundwork there. And what we talked about last time were the KPIs that get captured. We mainly focused on the device KPIs and the network KPIs. These are captured by our platform right out of the box whenever you create a session, and we'll get more into what a session actually means later. But today we're going to focus more on our custom KPIs, things like page load, time series, audio match, image match, and we'll talk about what this means and what it can do for you. As you look at when you interact with your application on a device and what that experience was for your end user. So just a little bit more detail on what these custom KPIs are and why would I want to create one and how do I do that? Let's kind of get into it. So basically it's we have 3 different categories for these custom KPIs. You can see it right here in the middle where really, and the bulk of it is looking at the video. So we look at it, we're looking at the session that you created with while working with a device as an end user. So we're looking at it, what did your user experience as your application or whatever it was you were doing on the device during that session, what kind of impacts there were from how long did it take to load an image, is the image where I expected, how's the video quality, in any loading animation issues. So those are types of queries we can do. Obviously with audio, I can, as I go through my session and I have an audio clip, I can verify that the audio matches what I expect it to do. So we have an audio match capabilities. And then this time series one allows us to basically say, okay, for example, do I have any kind of regular KPI, for example, let's say CPU, does it drop below a specific value during this session, or does it go above a specific value? For example, does it go above 90% while I'm running the session? How about my video quality MOS, the mean opinion score? Does it go below 4.0 during my session? So these are things that we can customize and do. So some of these like detailed questions you can see here are things that we can leverage with these custom KPIs. So it allows you to do some very customized queries into your sessions. And obviously we have a documentation on this, and we'll actually look at this in a second. So just kind of look at these in a little bit more detail on each type of custom KPI query. So, and we're going to get into this in the demonstration. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time here, but I do want to kind of explain how it works. So this page load request. So all these queries will be, you generate a request of some sort. This is a page load request. Like we'll also create an image match request, etc. And then the page load result is the answer, right? So in this case, I want to ask my session, how long did it take to load a page from screen 1 to screen 2? Now this would be from, and you can see down here where it says page load, and we have this gray bar, and then we have this purple region within that. So the gray bar is the start and end time boundaries of my page load request. You can see up here it says gray bar. So I'm setting a start time and end time, and then within that boundary, how long did it take for this page to fully load? So, and again, from an image visual perspective, from an end user looking, it's not looking at just objects, it's waiting for the whole page to load. So this is the result there. So that's what this purple is. That'll generate how long it took to actually load. So that's the page load request, and we'll actually see this in action. The time series data it really gives you a lot of flexibility on how you might want to look at your session, and over time, track how long, like in this case, track how long did I have any frame rates that went below 30, right? So I can do that for every session. I can create this type of time series. So any of those KPIs that we capture, frame rate, video MOS, blurriness, contrast, CPU, memory usage, are available to be queried by this time series data analysis. And we actually have two ways of doing it. We have this, you can see here, this one method called range. So this is where we're looking at the range, and we're set these parameters on upper limit or lower limit. So I can set it up for that. And again, there's a lot of flexibility here. And then the other one is what we call the summary statistics. So I can again say, for example, for the frame rate across time, what was the mean? What was, and I can set what percentile that I want value-wise. In this particular example, we're looking at the video quality MOS. So show me what the mean was and the percentiles for each of those sessions that I generated. So these are, again, way you can look at your session and come up with these values that are important to you that you might want to track over time, that give you some detailed analysis of your session. And then this is a loading and net animation request that we can make. Now by default, we do this for your entire session, but if you wanted to customize and look at a specific time period within your session, you can create one of these. So it's kind of just a way to customize what we already do, and we'll see this in the demo as well. The audio match analysis, basically what you would do there, and I'm not going to go a lot of detail on that one on this webinar, because last month, Nadav and my colleague David Broker went into great detail on how you do audio and audio match analysis within the HeadSpin platform. But basically, you would upload an audio clip, and then during your session, you would do a validation of the audio that I hear in the current session And then I match it against the audio clip that I uploaded, and what was the result of that, and so you can analyze your audio in that regard. And then we're going to talk about the image match and the OCR capabilities that we have, and for that you need to set a video box is what we call it. So this is just kind of highlighting, you get to craft out a box in your session, and this will be where during that query it's looking for that information. So for an image match request, for example, we're going to be looking in this video box in this area. So this is where you would create that. And again, what we would do here, and we're going to talk about how we get there, is you upload the image to match, and then during your session, you set your start time and your end time, and it will find and verify whether or not that image was there during your session. And will come up, if it finds it, it will come up with the image match result. Same thing with the OCR, optical character recognition. You need to set a video box there, right? So you can either do the whole screen, you can customize it to be, a specific snippet, and then it'll look for the video in that area, and it'll highlight in the result what the text actually was that it found. So those are the actual types of KPIs that you can create. Now, how do you do it? Well, we're going to go through this. So there's a way to do it manually when you have your session. You can create and click on any of these to create these sessions manually. And then we can also do it in an automated fashion, leveraging our REST APIs, either within a script. For example, this is an Appium snippet where you would create the values that you need as far as giving it a name, what type of request. Again, it's all about the start and end time within that session that you need to start and set. And then any kind of data that goes along with that, you make that request. And then you can also do it from your command line if you just want to, in this example, leverage curl to, again, create a type of request. In this case, it's a page load request at the start and end time within your session. So those are how you can create it. And then, well, let's, enough of the PowerPoint stuff. Let's get into the actual product and see how all this works. Okay. So here's the HeadSpin platform, the UI. This is where the remote control the devices, and just to kind of highlight and go over a slight review on the user interface. So our main tabs are over here to the left. So the remote control, this is where all the devices are. This is where you access those devices, work with them, do your sessions, and create your what we call performance sessions. Now the performance sessions are that's where we're going to do those custom KPI queries that will allow us to measure and keep track of and trend all those things that we really care about within our interaction with the device. And then we have the performance monitoring. We really covered this last time, so we won't spend a lot of time on this one on this particular webinar. Same thing with the dashboarding. This is where all this information is stored in a database, so that you can within the dashboard bring it up into the different dashboards with the panels that you can track and trend over time. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on dashboards today, but we will kind of highlight some of it. So let's kind of get started. Just as a reminder, I will filter on this specific device. So the way you access the device is hit start. It'll come up in this user interface. So again, you can interact with it and just kind of highlight the devices here based in California. You have the different capabilities over here that we allow you to do to upload an application. You can do that there. For automation, particularly for Appium, this is where we highlight the WebDriver URL that you can leverage, the device UDID, etc. For manual testing, obviously this is where you can take screenshots right here. And these are all drag and drop capabilities that you can put into your manual test management for your test case and test steps for your actual results. et cetera. And then you just highlight if you have audio requirements, you can start a speaker, and we can actually leverage the microphone in your computer to speak to the device and hear what's going on the device, et cetera. So again, that's just kind of a highlight on what you can do. And then to generate a session, performance session that we want to do, we need to start a recording session. The way you can do that is you just hit this. You can specify with network or without network. If you click on with network, that will capture all the HTTP traffic that was generated during that session, and that will be a part of the your session. And then from here, and we're not going to spend a lot of time doing this part either, because we want to get into how you actually analyze what happened in your session. But whatever you do here, it's going to be captured in that session. So we can do this. We're actually going to click off of that. So again, click on things, hold down your left mouse button, and then move your mouse in a specific direction is a swipe in whatever kind of direction you want to go. And then from here, we're going to stop our recording. So that's how you generate a session manually. We can also do that, and we'll talk about how we do it in automated fashion to do that. So let's go look at some generated sessions and how can we leverage our custom KPIs to gather some more insight on what happened during that session. Okay. So you see here, I've created some sessions before. So this is, again, the benefit of the HeadSpin platform is somebody can create a session, for example, come in and do a manual test, go through the application and create the session. And then I can, maybe somebody different, different team or whatever, can come in and do and generate the custom KPIs on that session to analyze some different things. So just kind of scrolling through the test that we did. This is an insurance calculator application. So I went in to just fill out some information and get a quote on a potential insurance policy. So you can see that the timeline across here, the time series. So again, from the last time that we were had the session in September, part 1, we talked about all these different KPIs that get generated automatically as we scroll down here. So you can see there's video quality KPIs that we capture. There's we look at the page content. So this is how much content is on the page at any given time, the frame rate. And now we come down to looking at audio, if that's important, what's the network in and out, packets, bytes, CPU, etc. So as we scroll down, we can kind of look at what all this means or what happened during our session. And so then when we get down to the bottom, we see, things that were captured. Now, wasn't really any HTTP traffic in this particular session, so there's not a lot of HTTP traffic captured down here. But let's get into how do we create one of those custom KPIs? And for example, this is one that a lot of people ask about. How long did it take my application to load up, right? So when I clicked on that icon on the home page to bring up this app to here, how long did that take? So the way you do that is you hold down your left mouse button and just scroll over. And this is going to generate that start and end time. And then I let go of that. So you can see the start and end time is created. And then I can pick what type of request that I want this to be. So in this case, it's going to be a page load request. So I'm going to just give it a name. So this is my insurance calculator. Hold start. And then I hit submit. So that generated a page load request. And you see here, this is that gray bar that we talked about. And now it's doing this analysis. And then it came back and came up with an answer. So the gray bar, I click on that. That's the request. And every time you make a request, you get a label ID. So every request will generate a label ID that you can leverage well. And then this gray bar in between there is the result. So what it found was it took 310 milliseconds to load. So this is something that I can track over time. So as I keep doing this test, I can keep doing this same measurement request, a page load request for this time to track how long it took my my application to load up. All right, well, what about the let's see, what about that car image, right? Maybe I want to make sure that that is there every time. So this is for an image match. Again, I can stretch my mouse button, just hold down left mouse button, and maybe I want to do an image match request. And then again, give it a name. Now in this case, I'm going to need to add some data, right, to highlight what I want. Move this bar. Excellent. Move this over here. So I've got some things here set up to tell me out, so I don't have to just type from memory. So this is what I'm going to put into this request. So as I mentioned earlier, this is the image ID that I want to match. So where did that image ID come from? You know, and I'm just going to go ahead and submit this while we kind of talk about how this process works. So I'm going to pop this out a little bit and make this a little bit bigger. So in order to grab that image that I want right there, there's a process you need to do. And it's kind of highlighted here in this step. And the first thing is to capture that image, you create a label. Again, this is kind of just some details. And again, start time within your session. And then you got to craft out the video box. And so this will capture an image within this video box, generate that label ID that I mentioned. And then the next step you would do is take that label ID, and then you would download, you create a screenshot from that label ID that I'm using here. And then this keyframe start, that'll generate an image that you download, and then you upload that image back to the HeadSpin platform. And when you do that, that'll generate this image ID. And then that's what I'm using here within this request here. That's also the same image ID I'll use in my curl command when I do an image match request, and also within my Appium script when I generate that request, I'm still basing it based off this image ID. So the nice thing is I upload it once, I get this image ID, and I can leverage that for every test that I run afterwards. So again, back to our session here. I made my request, and then I got my result. So that demonstrates that it was there. It showed up where it was supposed to, and I can check that off. That's a valid thing to check. So that's how we could create that. And let's talk about how do we create the time series, right? So if I care about as we go back up here, and there's a lot of different things we can look at here. And I'm just going to highlight one. This is a lot of folks focus on this one. What's the video quality MOS throughout my session? So I can stretch this out as long as I want to for the entire session, right? So the start time, end time, and this will be a time series request. So we're going to call this video MOS low 4.0. And again, we need to add some data here that I have from here. So I'm just going to copy this, plop that into here. Now what this will do is it will highlight throughout that entire session from 10 seconds to a minute 54, where did my video quality MOS drop below 4? Now, again, this is an arbitrary number that I picked, because you can see there's some variance here, right? So if I'm just looking at this, I'm all right. So maybe I just want to come up with a straight query on where that number is. So that's just an example of how I can do that for any of these KPIs that I want to measure from a time series perspective. And that kind of reminds me, I meant to kind of chat about this earlier, but let's talk about our help doc that I had in the PowerPoint, just to kind of highlight what that is for us. So in our help, the documentation is down here at the bottom. When you click on that, click on the API reference, click on the session analysis. That gives us where you can look at all these different categories of what we want to do, and it'll highlight how you do that from a perspective. So here we're doing the time series data. So it gives you all the information how you want to do that. It'll give you sample queries on what to do and how to set that up within your either manually or through a curl or API call, or within your automated script. So all that is very detailed, gives you nice help, and you can leverage that to help you out. So let's see, I think we are here. So scroll down, we should have had, so this is the request. And then these are all you can see here, again, just from a visual, I can see that it was below 4.0 for a lot of that session. So again, this is just an example. It just depends on what's important for you and for your testing on what metric or KPI that you want to keep track of. But this is something you can, put in there and manage and throughout your test. And you can also, if you want to collapse this, you can. I want to just say, just show me the video quality MOS KPI. That's all I really care about. And you can also, and again, from a time series request, the other one we talked about was how do I make it, get some statistics. So again, you can shortcut a little bit here. I just want to get the mean, the 50 percentile, the 90 percentile value. We'll just copy this, paste it into here, submit that. And then that's going to, this is the only one that's the exception. It's not going to show the result right here in this result. But what this will do is it generates it and it gets it stored in our database. And where you can reference it from there would then be within the dashboards. So I have a dashboard here, and this is what a sample of what that might look like. Obviously, this is a Grafana dashboard, so you could customize this panel to do whatever you want to. But for every session and that's what these values are, I've created the mean, the percentile, the 90th and 50th, and those are the values, start time and end time. So these, so I can track that over time, pull it out of the database, put it into this dashboard query. And again, you can put this in a different kind of graph if you want to plot it like in a time series or some other type of graph to make it more graphically appealing or whatever. But this is just basically to show you that's how you get the information, and that's where it is stored there. So it's certainly available to get there, and that's how you create that. And then the other sessions that you can create, we'll just kind of highlight here. From here, you can create like the video content one. What that'll allow you to do is specify. I'll click this off a little bit. So by default, here, let me go back and we'll grab all of these. Right. So all these video content KPIs that we captured, the blurriness, blockiness, contrast, brightness, all those will show up by default. If I wanted to narrow that or maybe just eliminate all of them and just really focus on one that I care about. Maybe it's blurriness or video quality MOS or whatever. I can make this one. And then that'll really focus on just that one KPI that I want to do. All right, so pretty much eliminate all the others and just do that one. So again, it's you may or may not really need to use this one. It just allows you to, if you want to just narrow down and not have all these other different KPI measurements within this session, you can do it that way. Same thing for the loading animation one. Maybe within, we're always measuring that ourselves, and I actually have a different session where this is more prevalent for loading animation. So I did. I just went out to CNN and just did a quick little. Let's go to CNN. Bring up a video, and you can see here that little spinner up in the on the video quality. So we automatically look for that by default. But again, if you want to customize that or have it go specific over a specific time, you can certainly do a loading animation request as well. Give it a name, and then submit that. So it just gives you a way to customize and specify specific, and you can put in some other values with that you can cover as well. So that's how you really generate those custom KPIs manually. So then again, as I mentioned, they would show up here within your session that you can manage. All this is within our database. So all these page load results could then again, just to kind of highlight, be shown on the in the dashboarding capability. So as we scroll down, there's so you have the image match request. How long did that work? How did it work for you? So all those are tracked here on the dashboard, so you can track and trend over time. Okay, so that's how we would do it manually. Let's see, go back, and I'm going to start with a different session. This is another one that I did that same application. It's just another session that I did that doesn't have any KPIs assigned to it yet. So what we'll do is I'll show you how we can do that from the command line and how that works. So again, when you look at our help information, it's always talking about here's a sample of how you create that with curl, run it on the command line. So what we can do there is, for example, if I want to do that page load request, I'll go ahead and copy this. So this is, if you're going to do it, again, with the curl command, what you'll need to do is make sure that you get the time correct. So you can see up here is the time of the time series. So I want to make sure that, as I go through here, I get the time correct. So when I execute my command, so again, you put it in, you'll get a label ID, returned as, all right, we're able to create that. Then you see that the page load request showed up in the on the session. And then once again, here's the result. So page load request, and then within that, page load result, this time, it was 590 milliseconds. So all that, again, is within this session. And then this cold start value can, again, in the dashboard, can be tracked over time, so you can manage and monitor. A lot of folks want to make sure that their application load time does not exceed a specific value, et cetera. So you can do that for all your different types of queries. Again, if you want to do the image match request, same type of method. Just grab it, generate it, and then that'll be created. within that session. And again, you get the results. So that, you can track along if you want to do all those. Same thing with the time series. If I want to create that, and we might not do all of these because I think you probably get the idea. It's just a curl command. You do that, and it gets generated, and then you can come back and review the session this way, or it'll get populated into the database and assigned and shown up in the dashboard. And one of the main things, just to highlight and to remind you, we also need to have it into a user flow. That's how we group all these sessions together. So all those tests that we run, in this case on my insurance calculator app, I'm putting into this user flow called Demo Insurance App. All the sessions are within there. That's what gets grouped together and monitored and reported on within our dashboarding. So that's, like I said, that's how we create that. I don't want to get a lot more detail. I mean, we could just sit here and have fun and do all these other requests. But it just, this is where, it comes into where we give you that complete flexibility to customize these types of queries into these sessions to really identify and track what really is important to you and what you want to look at on your user's experience on the application, within the device interaction. So, again, you can do all that. I do want to highlight here, we'll go ahead and just do this one while we're here. For the OCR request, it's very similar again to like what we did with the time series, or not the time series, the image match, right? Where you capture the that image that you want to capture with the video box. And then within that video box, you can download an image of that and make sure the video box is right. And once you have that, again, you can just plop that into your command line and execute that. And then that'll, one thing I want to highlight on the OCR request, this, because this is just a little bit different in that, I'll click on the result. You have the request, and then you have the OCR result. The result name here is the text that it found in that request, right? So I'm looking for, within this time period, I'm actually looking for the word whatever is in this area right here. And it shows up, I want to make sure a car is there. So it found car, that's what that OCR request did. So again, you can customize that to look broader on the screen. It'll show you the text that it found within the OCR result name. Okay, we're at 1:45. Let's go ahead and start talking about how we might do this in an automation capability. So come back over here. We have sessions. So let me bring up my automation script that I have for this. So I use Python. We support any native Appium client, Java, C#, whatever it happens to be. We don't require any special Appium libraries or anything like that within the HeadSpin platform. So you're certainly more welcome to use your Appium language of choice. Just to kind of highlight a couple of things here as a reminder for Appium. This is where I'm setting it to be assigned to the Demo Insurance App user flow. This is where I'm specifying that I want to do the network capture. And then I'm setting some session tags. You saw me do the filtering on my session, so I'm setting it to be the webinar part 2 advanced. So within your Appium script, again, start and end times are extremely critical when you're doing these custom KPI requests. All right, so here, this is where you can start. You can see here I'm doing, basically, the way this app works is, if you notice here, I'm starting the settings app of the device on this Android. So it brings up the settings app. So what I do there is, once it comes up, I terminate that app. I press the home button. And then I'm waiting for the insurance calculator icon to appear. Once it is, I do a start time. I click on that icon. I wait for that card button to show up, and then I do an end time. So these are my start and end times for the cold start. And then, so as I go through, and then, obviously there's another end time here for the OCR. So within your script, you have control over where you set those start and end time boundaries for your different requests. So again, this is just going through here. We're doing, going through the application, clicking on things, entering information, et cetera, et cetera. So then let's get down. This is toward the end. So what we want to do before we kill the session is get the session ID, because that's very important. That's the unique identifier for that session. Each session has its own unique ID. And then obviously we have some more timers here. I end the session. And now we're going to create some queries based on that information. So for example, the page load request here. I'm setting up a JSON object that has the different information, the name, the type of request, the start and end time, and then this is where I actually execute that request. Same thing for the image match. Again, you have the start and end time where you want to do that. And then, as we mentioned earlier, you got to have your image ID. So again, this is uploaded once. You leverage it for every test you run afterwards. And then the video MOS. And again, you can have multiples of these. I'm just doing the video MOS. If you want to track any of those others, you certainly can, particularly with the stats as well. Loading animation, whatever it is you want to do, the OCR, et cetera. And then just, let's see, make sure I'm not using that device before I run my script. So it's ready to go. So when you run your script on the HeadSpin platform, so I'm just running it. So we allow you to run all these devices or all these tests in parallel. You can certainly do that to your heart's content. We don't have any limitation on that. Depending on your test framework or how you set that up, if you want to run multiple individual sessions, or if you want to do something like TestNG where you can thread out your tests into multiple threads within the same test, and you can access the devices that way, that's fine too. Doesn't matter to us. When you execute a test, you can see here that the device is busy. Click on this magnifying glass, and you can track the test as it goes. You can see here we have the recording information going, and then that'll generate all these sessions. So that's how that will work. And what we can do here is, you can see this one is happening now. This is what I did one earlier. But let's no, this is one that just finished. So let's go look at that. Make sure the test ran successfully. So it did. You can see I get a bunch of 200, so that's always good. So we can go back and once we bring up the session, you'll see the same kind of thing. All those requests that we made are here, in the session. I'm just going to go ahead and collapse this. All right, so the image match request, here's the result. The OCR request, here's the result. The video MOS is still analyzing, so it takes a little bit of time to go through there and analyze to make sure and look for those values that drop below. Is doing the video MOS summary. So all that will go and the platform will analyze, as well as come up with its own. Even when you do those custom KPIs, we're still doing our AI engine where we evaluate your session and come up with any kind of issues off our issue card that might be a problem. So I'm going to kind of stop there. I know we're at 50 past the hour, so might have a few questions that we might want to do. But that's the basic of how you do it. Create your different types of sessions. we created, we looked at all the different sessions, how you apply it to a session, how you capture the information and go from there. So I'm going to, let's just go back over here to this page, and I will stop. Nadav, did we get any questions that we need to answer, or?
Yes, we did. Thanks for that overview and demo, Jamie. Really appreciate it. So we'll take some questions from the audience now. And just a reminder, you can click on the Q&A button in the bottom control panel, and we'll get to your question as they come in. So the first one that we got is from an anonymous attendee. And the question is there a limit on the number of custom KPIs that a user can create?
Yeah, so that's a nice thing about our platform. No, there's no limit. It's only limited by your imagination. Just again, just create those custom KPI queries on what's important to you and what you want to track and measure throughout your session.
Okay, great. Thank you for that question. The next one from another anonymous attendee is, can these custom KPIs be executed using Postman?
Oh, sure. So I just use curl, but any REST API tool that you use, Postman being one of them, or anything else that can execute an API is valid. So sure. Doesn't have to just be curl, it can be anything.
Okay, great. And thank you for that question as well. And the next question that we have is from Nikolai. So the question is, for VMAF and other full reference metrics, how do you handle skipped frames? Would the user receive a warning that VMAF might not be calculated correctly?
Yeah, so and that probably deserves its own detailed discussion in and of itself. But yeah, for VMAF, you got to upload a reference video for us to measure for there. So so we would capture what the result of a skip frame and whatnot. So sure.
Okay, great. Thanks for the question, Nikolai. I'll give it a couple of more minutes to see if any other questions stream in. And if not, we will look to wrap up the session. All right, it looks like there are no other questions at this point. So just wanted to thank everybody once again for making the time today to join us for this webinar. We hope you found the session helpful and informative. If you should have any other questions that come up after the session that didn't come to mind right now, you can feel free to message me or send me an email rather at the email address here below. It's ngordon@headspin.io. And if you're interested in a deeper dive demo, we're happy to schedule time with you directly. Typically, it's about a 30-minute session, and we'll talk and dive deep into your specific use cases and KPIs that are of interest to you and your organization. And please be on the lookout for any other webinars that we have coming up. We have kind of a rolling calendar where we schedule one once a month and pick a unique topic or an elaboration on a previous topic that we've covered in another webinar before. We hope you have a great rest of the week. Thanks again for joining, and goodbye, everybody, until next time.